This is KGW News at Sunrise.
Good morning. Thanks for getting up with us on this Saturday morning. I'm Tim Gordon alongside Chris McGinnis.
Sweating.
Yeah, we got Chris right
Already.
Here. It's kind of warm in the studio right now.
It's like our air conditioner after about day, 6 is having a tough time keeping up with that heat. But we are fortunate enough to have AC. For those that don't, this has been a really rough go. The hot weather alerts continue. The bright pink shading are excessive heat warnings covering a lot of real estate here across the Northwest, and that orange peaches shading heat advisories. So for the metro area, Clark County south to Salem, our excessive heat warning continues through today and through tomorrow until 9 p.m. on Sunday. A heat advisory outside of that actually ends late tonight down in Lane County and down towards Corvallis and Albany. To the north here, up the I-5 corridor continues through tomorrow evening. All right, the live look outside, man, that is a hazy shot. Check that out from our Wells Fargo sky camera. It is 70 degrees at PDX right now. That represents, I think, our low for the day for now. We may dip another degree, but maybe not. And with that in mind, we are on the launching pad to another hot day today. It's 66 in Hillsboro, 69 Westland, big picture across the state. Pendleton in the 70s. The Dows right now, 75, probably another day at 110 or hotter for the Dows. And in the metro area, we were 100 degrees yesterday afternoon at PDX. I've got us at 101. Some folks will range between 100 and maybe 102 this afternoon. Full sun in the forecast today. Again tomorrow, we probably shave a degree or two, and then relief starts to trickle in on Monday. We'll get a look at that forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Okay, looking for relief. Thanks, Chris. Well, as the heat wave continues, some tenants in lower income housing are getting help. We stopped by Northwest Tower Apartments on Friday. Several people told us they are getting air conditioners thanks to Home Forward, which manages that building. This is the same complex where someone died during the heat wave last year. Sadly, 72 people died during that heat wave in Multnomah County. And this week, 3 people have died from the heat. For that reason, city and county leaders called for even more vigilance on the part of landlords to check on tenants, especially those who are older or living alone.
Please take this heat seriously. I know, and I understand that people are really tired of being told to take care of yourself and to look out for others. But the reality is that climate change and its consequences, like this heat wave, have no regard for our feelings or our fatigue. This weather is deadly. And we cannot afford to forget or ignore the trauma and the lessons of last summer.
And of course, you don't have to be a landlord to check on your neighbors. Please make sure they're doing okay. Knock on a door. It only takes a minute. So many of these deaths are truly preventable.
Be proactive. Schedule those breaks, and don't let people say we're going to plow through this.
That's public health doctors' advice to businesses that have people working out the heat during this dangerous heat wave. It is also the requirement now under new rules from Oregon OSHA, all designed to keep workers healthy and safe. And regulators have been busy. They say they have at least 9 open inspections related to heat where the business is actually being cited. And they're still looking into more, with 61 complaints coming in so far this week, including and involving heat-related concerns. From Oregon's agricultural fields, where people toil in the sun, to downtown construction and demolition jobs, the ongoing heat is downright dangerous. Oregon Occupational Safety and Health Administration's enhanced requirements took effect in June, in part a response to last year's heat dome that was deadly to many, including some who had to work out in it. Now Oregon OSHA says when the heat index hits 80, employers must provide access to shade and water for people working outside or indoors without a ventilation system. When it hits 90 and above, like it is now, employers must provide more breaks, more communication, and more close monitoring for heat exhaustion or heat stroke. Multnomah County's acting health officer says employers should follow those rules and employees should get help if they need it.
They're not going to be able to cite the new statute, but they're going to have to say, I really need to get to a cool place. I really need to take a break. I'm starting that queasy, sweaty headache feeling.
So whether you're working heavy construction or making coffees.
We're at Ole Latte down here on 5th and Harrison in Portland, Oregon by PSU.
Beating the heat is critical. At this coffee cart in southwest Portland, Robert Thielman has air conditioning. Would he be here if he didn't?
No, no. I would tell my boss he needs to come on in. Yeah, it's a little rough. It would certainly be about 85, 90.
Based on what Multnomah County Public Health is seeing, plenty of people are needing urgent medical care because of the heat wave. It canvassed local hospitals and tweeted out the results, saying ER visits for heat exposure are way up, and at least a third are people who got too hot working outdoors this week. Many of them are young and otherwise healthy people.
On one hand, I think, oh, this is uber scary. On the other hand, I think maybe people are hearing the message. You know, it's better to treat when you're in that heat exhaustion phase, when cool and some cooling blankets and maybe some IV fluids are going to basically get that person right as rain.
Yeah, the doctor says better to catch it early and get some help so it does not become potentially deadly heat stroke. Well, new this morning, homicide detectives have been on the scene of a deadly shooting in Portland's Old Town. Now, this is video from Northwest 5th and Cooch. Officers responded to a shots fired call just after 9:30 last night and say 3 people were hit. One victim, a man, died either at the hospital or on the way there. Another victim who was also hit badly and had life-threatening injuries when they were admitted to the hospital. Well, now for an update on the deadly police shooting Wednesday night. The Portland Police Bureau is not planning to identify the officer who killed a person, at least for now. They say it's because of concerns over doxing. That's when private information about a person, like an address, is published publicly with the intent to cause harm. A spokesperson for the Portland Police Bureau says officers involved in police shootings Sunday morning and Tuesday morning are victims of doxing. In fact, authorities say there are credible security threats to these officers. Because of this, the decision has been made to not identify the officer involved in Wednesday night's deadly shooting of a man who was reportedly firing a gun in the front yard of a home.
Transparency is very important. It's a vital cog in accountability. But when we then see officers threatened before there's any due process, before the investigation really has even gotten off the ground, people followed home, people having flyers put up in their neighborhood, family members being threatened. This is not about transparency. This is about utilizing an event to create chaos and threaten the safety of police officers. It's just not acceptable.
Now, Sergeant Schmaltz says officers dealt with a lot of doxing during the protests of 2020. He says it was so bad, officers had to take their names off their uniforms. Well, after a ferry boat sank in Astoria, crews are scrambling now to contain fuel that spilled into the Columbia River. The Coast Guard tells us divers are working to find out how this happened. They're also trying to find all of the leaks and patch them up, hopefully by the end of the day.
The vessel took on 500 gallons. But we don't know exactly how much the vessel is capable of holding or what the potential discharge could be.
Now, to further protect the river, crews have placed a boom around the old historic ferry to contain the fuel that has leaked out. Well, investigators say it's going to cost millions to fix this Washington ferry that was damaged in a crash on Thursday. Look at that. It really took a big hit. The Cathlamet hit a structure at a ferry dock in West Seattle. It's going to be out of service for several months now, at least the next several. Right now, the Coast Guard is investigating what caused that crash. An update on our homeless crisis with more affordable housing coming to Vancouver. A 4-story housing complex for low-income seniors is opening up off West Mill Plain. Although, as Blair Best found out, some are still waiting for their opportunity for housing.
It's a day of new beginnings.
Today is huge for me.
Especially for Beth Funk, who will soon call this place home.
My life will be stable for the first time since I was 19. Yeah.
Most of her life, she's been in and out of homelessness until today.
Because I have my own apartment for the first time ever, and I'm really excited about it.
The complex is called Miles Terrace. All the tenants are 55 and older and make about 50% of the median income, meaning rent is about $1,000 to $1,400 a month.
But since many of our residents that come into these are actually far lower, we are adding some rent subsidy as well.
Monday is move-in day, and there's already a wait list.
Unfortunately, the creation of affordable senior housing has not been real robust over the last couple of years, so we're happy to add this to the portfolio.
But the city's housing crisis lingers on. In fact, directly across the street is a homeless encampment.
I wanted to have a library when I moved into a new house, so I started collecting books.
For 3 years, Sarah Taylor has been left to pick up the pieces.
I came home after going out for a walk and everything was thrown around over here. This happens all the time, especially to me.
She's in the process of finding housing, which hasn't been easy.
People need to be able to shower. They need to be able to do their laundry. Simple, just basic needs.
Her tent, now a front row seat, as others like Beth,
It's a little overwhelming. You know, I'm trying not to cry.
step into their new home down the street.
I think it's absolutely disgusting.
In Vancouver, Blair Best, KGW News.
Well, still to come, pop-up sites that could help you stay connected after a big earthquake. Bet you didn't know they're already in about 50 local neighborhoods. And coming up, we'll talk to emergency officials to help get the word out to you.